Back on the Rob Dibble Show, Nick Federico on your afternoon drive. Joining us now from the Hartford Athletic. This is a guy in charge. He's done a great job the last couple of years. Brendan Burke is the head coach of the Hartford Athletic. They won the Jägermeister Cup last year. They're trying to win another in-season cup this year, and Brendan Burke joins us now. And Brendan, how are you?
Great. How are you guys?
Not as hot as you, man. You guys are playing really well right now. Describe playing for this cup in the middle of the season, and are you like going in and out of the regular season as well as playing these cup games?
Yeah, it's pretty common in soccer around the world. It's somewhat unique. The NBA started doing it a couple of years ago.
And we kind of chuckle at the NBA, but you guys are much better.
Yeah, for soccer, it's very much a tradition, like the FA Cup in England and stuff like that. So, what it involves is prioritizing. If you want to go after these trophies, it's a big burden on the team in terms of the workload and stuff like that because it adds a lot of extra games. But I think we're 12 or 13 games unbeaten now going back to last year in this competition, and we're defending a title that we won. So we're 2 games away now from defending it, which is pretty amazing.
And you guys have been playing very well lately. I mean, some big wins lately. You had 3 matches in 6 days. What kind of drain does that put on a team in August with the humidity and stuff like that? Are your players used to this weather by now?
Yeah, we're used to the weather. It's the travel combined with the weather, and what it takes really is when you put your squad together, you need to be 2 deep in every position so you can rotate through these heavy periods and not put all those minutes on the same small group of guys because we still have a lot of season left. We still have over a third of our regular season left, and most of those games are at home, our cup semifinals at home, so we're in a great position now to really drive forward.
You guys have a regular season match coming up against Birmingham. That is Saturday, August 29th. Now, like you said, it's prioritizing going after the cup, not going after the cup. Physically, how is the Hartford Athletic right now, Brendan? Any injuries, or do you just have a few guys with some maladies? I mean, how tough is that clubhouse right now?
If you had asked me that 6 weeks ago, I would have barely gotten an answer out because we were just decimated. We were missing 8 starters for almost 2 months. So, but now, our medical staff have done a great job of getting guys back. And over the last week or so, we saw almost every one of them return. We're really only missing 1 key player at this point who actually scored the game winner in the final last year. And we're hoping to have him back before the final this year in Samuel Carriaga. But everyone else is back up and running and fully fit and not minutes limited. So we're hitting stride at the right time of year again.
Brendan, Nick here. First of all, thanks for joining us for a few minutes this afternoon to talk with us. My question for you is, typically, obviously, throughout, depending on the personnel for a lot of these clubs, whether it's at the European level or over here domestically, we see a lot of different clubs utilize different formations, right? Whether it's a 3 at the back, a 4 at the back, a 4-3-3 is very popular nowadays, a 4-3-2-1. It all depends on personnel and the kind of tactics that, the manager or the coach wants to employ. What exactly is your typical formation, and is that something that is kind of concrete in terms of how you guys like to play and your tactics, or is that something that kind of is a fluid situation depending on the opponent and the personnel that you have at your disposal?
Yeah, I think we've had to be fluid this year, but typically when everyone's available, we do play out of a 3 center back system. So you look at 2 wing backs, 3 center backs, and then you can have any combination of midfield in there. But this year we've switched from 1 forward to 2, just to keep the pressure a little higher up the field. So when we're fully fit, we try to play a really end-to-end kind of high-octane game. We haven't been able to do that this year. We've had to kind of drop into a defensive shell for the first half of the year and just keep ourselves in touching distance while all those key guys were out. When you're missing 75% of your starting lineup, that's not ideal.
Yeah.
But we survived that period, and last week I think what you saw is we scored 7 goals in 3 games. We're able to get back to what we do well now that we're close to fully fit.
Talking to Brendan Burke, he is the head coach of the Hartford Athletic, and wanted to ask you how the fans been so far this year at Trinity Health Stadium, and the more I'm sure the louder they are and boisterous and stuff like that, and banging the drums and the trumpets and all that kind of stuff. How can we get the word out there, especially to win another cup in the end season?
Yeah, I mean, this semifinal at home, it's actually against my old club, Colorado Springs, where I went to a final as well.
Nice.
So it's tasty for me.
Yes.
A lot of the players and coaches that I brought there are still there. So it has a ton of meaning for us as a staff and a group of players, because some of those guys that I had in Colorado are now Hartford Athletic players. So there's a lot of crossover, a lot of familiarity there. As far as the fans go, I mean, we were on the road for 5 weeks straight, almost 5 games in a row, 4.5 weeks. So we just came home this weekend, and we came home to a huge crowd.
Awesome.
And we won the game in the 94th minute. So, I mean, a lot of that speaks to the energy in the building. You just don't stop until it's over when you have a crowd behind you like that. So if we could get that kind of crowd going, or even bigger for the semifinal and for these last couple home games, I think we're going to be able to do something historic like we did last year. I think we have just as good a group, if not better.
Brendan, Nick again. We talked a lot about on this program over the summer with the World Cup being on home soil, and we've discussed this with several of your players that have been, joining us on the program. Just the importance, talk a little bit about the importance of development and youth academies on home soil here in the United States. Do you really think that those are what's going to allow the United States men's national team to take the next jump up in competition and be able to contend with a lot of these South American and European juggernauts on the world stage in terms of international play?
I absolutely do. I mean, I was lucky enough. I was very fortunate, actually, early in my coaching career to be part of the first team staff in Philadelphia, but I also did some work with our academy, and they're, regarded as one of the better MLS academies because they invest heavily. They bring in kids from all over the U.S. It's a boarding type setup, so a kid might be 14 when he moves in there, and he might be on the field playing first team games by the time he's 16 or 17. They're really invested in driving it forward, and I think that showed in the World Cup roster. There were 4 or 5 Philly guys either in the team or in the roster on each game day, and I think the more academies like FC Dallas, who do a good job as well, and there's a few others who are getting these guys pro experience between 16 and 18 years old, then they can get off and go abroad and play at some of these big high-pressure environments, high-pressure clubs, the better off we'll be. I mean, the U.S. was on a good run. There was so much momentum in that tournament. I know they fell flat in the last game, but that just tells me that we need more of that we need more of those kids off to Europe when they turn 18, 19. So by the time they're 25, 26, they're hardened European, Champions League type professionals. And they'll carry that back into our national team.
Yeah, we
so
have.
MLS has done a fantastic job. But places like Hartford, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
that's
you
okay.
off.
I didn't mean to step on you.
Places like Hartford, we have to do the same thing. These smaller markets or mid-sized markets, we have to develop academies that are producing players that push those players in the MLS academies, because the reality is our country's so big, we can't blanket all that space. We can't blanket that whole population with just 30 MLS academies. So USL is going to be an important part of that entire framework to move the national team forward, I think, in the future.
No, and well said. I mean, we've had Ray Reed on. I know you know Ray Ray, coached at Southern, at UConn, and then for the Hartford Athletic. And he talks about that. Guys playing in the European League, and we need more guys like that. And hopefully in 4 years, instead of half the team, 3/4 or the entire team will be those kind of, salty veteran type guys. But definitely need more coaches like you, Brendan. So in 4 years, in your mind, what has to happen? How do we start? Because, for me, I played 4 years of minor league baseball before I got to the major leagues. And, for me, by the time I got there, I knew I belonged with the other guys. I'd played in Puerto Rico a couple of years against former major leaguers, and guys like myself that were on 40-man rosters. How do we get soccer to like that, like minor league hockey, like minor league baseball, where you're so close to being with everybody else on the planet?
Well, I think it's just that. So you played in the minors. Like right now, I look at Britton Fisher, a guy like that, or Seb Anderson, who I know you guys have had on.
Yep.
And I had in Colorado. He made his MLS debut at 16 years old, and it hasn't been a straight line for him to play in MLS and drive through. And it's not going to be for every kid, but when they're being debuted that young, that's great. But then they need to play 100, 200 professional games against men, not against other, older adolescents, before they really understand what it requires, how much it hurts to push through, some of those difficult periods physically and mentally, before they're even ready to really step into the big time. So, again, I think it goes back to right now we have Britton Fisher on loan from Minnesota. He's played in MLS Next Pro, which is a good level, but it's a lot of young kids who are MLS hopefuls. Well, the best ones now, the trend I'm seeing is the very best ones in MLS Next Pro, their next testing ground is they're being put into USL teams to see if they can win a starting position and play every minute. And then their MLS team, their first team, will give them a good look and say, okay, I think you're ready, or you're not going to make the jump. So I think USL has a huge role to play in not just the catchment areas where we're developing academies, but also that very finishing touch that goes into a top prospect's kind of finishing school, I guess is the best way to put it.
One last question from me. Growing up, obviously you played, you've now had, extensive coaching tenure and experience. Is there any manager or coach that you watched, on the national stage or, at a respective club growing up that you try to replicate in your coaching style on the pitch, whether that's tactically or elsewhere?
No, I think I've stolen from everyone I've been with, and every good coach will tell you that. I've had the pleasure of working with guys like Peter Novak, who were national team captain for Poland, and, he had a very different approach. Jimmy Curtin, who's obviously a huge MLS, he's been MLS Coach of the Year twice. I was with him for 10 years. Ben Olsen, I was his top assistant in Houston, and we went to 2 finals that year, so I learned a ton about man management and was able to pull from his experience across 10 years at DC United and other places. So it's really the guys I've rubbed shoulders with that have impacted me in a big way. And then I, from afar, I can watch guys like Bruce Arena through my years in MLS and stuff like that, and just watch the mannerisms, the man management. I got to work with Pat Noonan for a long time, who runs Cincinnati now, and all those guys have different approaches tactically, but what I would say is they're all good man managers. They're all good motivators. They're all as blunt as the day is long. I mean, you know exactly what to expect, what you're getting, what's expected of you, and guys show up for guys like that is what I've noticed over the years. So I try to emulate those guys, really.
Well, the guys at Hartford Athletic are showing up for you, Brendan. Great job. Continued success. Win the Prinks Cup. excuse me. And your next home match is on August 29th against Birmingham Legion. And then the next semifinal match for the Cup is Tuesday, September 8th at 7 o'clock. And we want a full stadium over at Trinity
That's the big
Health.
one. That's the one we're trying to pack out.
There you go. So let's pack it out there. And thank you so much, BB, for your time today.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Brendan Burke, everybody, Hartford Athletic, please support them and get out there and make so much noise that we propel them to another in-season cup. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back